components option. Under this option, you can create components as per your preference. We have 4 different verticals under which you can create multiple salary components. First is the base category of salary components. This is the category under which you cannot create any component, but these are all the statutory components without which you cannot create a salary structure. This includes basic, HRA, PF employer, ESI employer, and special allowance. Next is your recurring vertical of salary components. Recurring components can be created by yourself. We have already added widely used, mostly used salary components in the system, but if you want to create another component, you can click on the create component option. You can give a name to the component that you are creating. I'm calling this as incentive component. I'm making that as an allowance. You can choose it to be an allowance, deduction, reimbursement, or contribution. I'm making this component as an allowance component. You can include it or exclude it from CTC. I want this to be included in CTC. Whether you need proof to give this component to your employees or not, that's just a toggle. So please choose accordingly. I don't need proof, so I'm going to keep it off. And you can make this component as a taxable component or a non-taxable component. I want this to be a taxable component. You can individually override it as well. You can make this component as an LOB dependent component or LOB dependent component. So please choose the toggle accordingly. You want this component to attract ESI or not? Please choose it accordingly as well. Now, the computation of this component could be either flat or slab wise. If you choose it to be flat, you can put a flat value here, example 20,000, or you can even put a valid mathematical equation like 10% of CTC or 10% of basic. And if you choose it to be slab wise, you will get an option to choose a slab and define the value of the component. In this case, if the slab is between 0 to 3 lakhs, I am going to add this component value as 20,000. And the next slab, which is starting from 3 lakh 1 rupees to 5 lakhs, the value of this component will be 25,000. And the next slab between 5 lakh 1 rupee to 10 lakhs, the value of this component becomes 30,000. So you can create multiple such slabs and add a different value to this component and save it. You can create multiple such recurring components that's required for your organization. In the same fashion, you can also create a variable component under the variable section. We have already added frequently used components by most of the companies. But if you want to create another component, please click on the create component option and you can create a component. I'm creating a component called as festival bonus salary. This is the name of the component I'm creating, and I'm giving this component as an annual component. So I'm choosing the payout frequency to be annual, but this could be even monthly, quarterly, half yearly, depending on the frequency in which you pay this component to your employees. But as I'm choosing this to be a festival bonus salary, I'm giving this as an annual component. But let's say you are adding a component called as performance bonus or a quarterly performance bonus. So obviously quarterly performance bonus will be given to your employees each quarter. So in that case, the payout frequency should be quarterly. You can include or exclude this component from CTC. You can make this component as a taxable component or a non-taxable component. But if you are making this as a taxable component, you can choose whether the tax should be deducted in that very month itself or it should be distributed across the rest of the financial year. And even you can even prorate this component on the date of joining of your employee. Example, if your employees joined in the middle of the year, the component will be computed only for the months that your employees have worked in this organization. And with regards to the calculation of this component, you can either choose this component to be a flat-based computation or a slab-based computation. This works in the similar fashion that we saw under recurring component. So I'm going to keep this as a flat value, and I'll say 25,000 flat. this component is due in the month of October because October is when most of the festivals occur or arrive. So I'm going to keep this component or disperse this component in the month of October. You can individually override this component for your employees, so please choose the toggle accordingly. You want PSI to be applicable for this component, that is also a toggle that you need to choose, so please choose accordingly. And the last vertical is your ad hoc. This is where you can create a component which is never defined in the salary structure, which is never told to your employees under the annexure that you issue to your employees in the appointment letter or offer letter. So I would call it an out of the box component. So if you want to create a component which could be added to your employee's salary at a random time in any given month, you can create that under ad hoc. So ad hoc earnings, ad hoc deductions, you can create both the components. Let me create an ad hoc earning component. I'm creating a component called as ad hoc festive incentive. You can make it as a taxable component or a non-taxable component. Yes, I applicable, yes or no, that is up to you. So this component is created. Likewise, you can create an ad hoc deduction component as well. This could be any deduction that comes on any given month. For example, salary recovery. And you can even remove that from the taxable income of your employee if required. I've created this component as well. So that's pretty much about creating components in Kredily.